So we are starting with Chapter 1, Section 1, Algebraic Expressions. So algebraic expressions has a few things. They have terms, and within terms there may be coefficients, variables, operations, and constants. The coefficient is always in front of that variable, and that variable is always a letter. In this case it's n. Sometimes it may be x, it may be y, maybe z. It could be any letter. Don't get too caught up in that. And then the constant is that number that is completely by itself. In this case it's the 2. So as long as a number is by itself, that would be considered a constant. This is a bit of a review order of operations. We went over it last year in Algebra 1, which is PEMDAS. So you can evaluate an algebraic expression by replacing each variable with a number and then applying order of operations. So we have parentheses. We do the parentheses first, exponent second, multiplication third, division fourth, addition fifth, and subtraction sixth. Again, this is a bit of a review from last year, so I'm expecting you guys to be able to remember how to do PEMDAS. So for this example, we have evaluate m plus p minus 1 squared if m is equal to 3 and p is equal to negative 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and plug those numbers in. I will plug in the m into the m, the p into the p. So when I do that, I get 3 plus negative 4 minus 1 squared. Now after I plug that in, I follow PEMDAS and I start with parentheses. The first thing in the parentheses is the negative 4 minus 1. So we get 3 plus negative 5 squared. Remember, both of the terms are negative, so they will become a bigger negative. I will be squaring negative 5, so I end up with 3 plus negative 5 times negative 5, so it's going to give me 3 plus 25, which I will get an answer of 28. It's saying to evaluate each expression if a is equal to negative 2, b is equal to 3, and c is equal to 4. We have the expression a minus 2b plus 3c. So I'm going to go ahead and plug them in just like we did before. Negative 2 for the a, 3 for the b, and 4 for the c. When I do that, I end up with negative 2 minus 6 plus 12. All I did was multiply the 2 times the 3 and the 3 times the 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So I'm going to go from left to right. So I'm going to get negative 8 plus 12, which will end up with 4 at the very end. For example 3, they want us to evaluate each expression if a is equal to negative 2, b is equal to 3, and c is equal to 4. So we have 2a plus b plus 3 squared. I'm going to go ahead and plug things in to start off. So it's going to be 2 times negative 2 plus 3 plus 3 squared. Now, I'm going to follow PEMDAS. The first things to do is the parentheses. So it's going to be 2 times negative 2 plus 6 squared. After I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take the exponents. That is the next step. So it's going to be 2 times negative 2 plus 36. Then I'm going to go ahead and do multiplication. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 plus 36. And then I get positive 32 as the answer. Now, if you are able to skip a few steps and do negative 4 plus 6 squared, and then you do negative 4 plus 36, and you end up with 32 in a little bit less steps, you can go ahead and do that. Just remember, you have to show your work. If you do not show your work, it is an automatic 0. You do not get any points for the problem. You do not get any points for the homework, the test, the assessments, or anything like that. For example 4, they wanted to evaluate a plus b squared, parentheses b minus a, if a is equal to 5 and b is equal to negative 3. So when I go ahead and plug that in, I get 5 plus negative 3 squared, negative 3 minus 5. Now here it's very important to follow the order of operations. If you don't, you will get messed up in what you need to do. So I'm going to write out PEMDAS up here. But when I do that, the first one's parentheses. Do I have any parentheses? Yes, I do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. 5 plus negative 3 squared, negative 8. Do I have exponents? Yes, I do. So I'm going to go ahead and do 5 plus 9 minus 8. Do I have multiplication? I do have multiplication. To get 5 plus negative 72. Sorry, not 72. Negative 81. It's negative 72. What I said first is right. And then, do I have addition? Yes, I do. So then I do 72 and 5. One is positive and one is negative. So because they are different signs, I go ahead and subtract. And that's going to give me negative 67. Now, we didn't have subtraction, but that was the last step. So I'm just going to mark it as done. You guys can do this anytime you need it. Last year, this is where you guys made a lot of your mistakes. You knew the problem, you knew the steps, but you made the mistakes of doing the wrong order, which at the end cost you the problem. So make sure you remember the order. So for example, 5, we have 7, and then parentheses, a plus 4 plus 3b minus 8. For a is equal to negative 4, and b is equal to 5. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug this in like we have been doing. So I'm going to get 7, negative 4 plus 4 plus 3 times 5 minus 8. Again, I'm going to write PEMDAS on the top to get started. Now, do I have parentheses? I do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. 7, negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Plus 3 times 5 minus 8. Do I have exponents? No, I don't have exponents. I can keep going. Do I have multiplication? Yes, I have multiplications. I have more than one, so I will be going from left to right. So 7 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 times 5 is 15. Minus 8. I don't have any more multiplications. Do I have divisions? I have no division, so I can go ahead and check mark it and keep going. Then do I have addition? I have addition of 0 and 15, so it's just 15 minus 8. And then I have subtraction. So I will go ahead and solve it, and then you're done following the PEMDAS order. So I end up with 7 as the answer. Example 6 is negative 3wy over 2w. So if you plug those numbers in, we get negative 3, 4, y is negative 5 over 2 times 4. Now, again, following the order of operations, I'm just going to write it here. Parentheses, I have no parentheses, so I can keep going. Exponents, I have no exponents, so I can keep going. Multiplication, I do have multiplication, so I'm going to go ahead and solve it. Now, for the numerator, you can go ahead and solve from left to right. The order doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start with 3 times 4. That's negative 12. And then times negative 5 over 2 over 4. I'm going to go ahead and do 12 times 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. You have to carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 1 plus 5 times 1 is 5 plus the 1 is 6. So we get 60 over 2 times 4. That's going to simplify to 60 over 8. We can simplify the fraction, but it's going to end up still being a fraction. So I'm going to divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, which is going to give me 30 over 4. I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to get 15 over 2. Now you can either leave the answer as 15 over 2, or you can leave it as 7.5. Either one would be okay. Now I'm going to mark off multiplication done. We did division next. We have no addition or no subtraction. I just stopped check marking it after multiplication, just because that was the last step until we got to division. All right, so you guys have an assignment on Canvas.